Hi everyone, welcome to a new year, new altcoin Bible. Today's premium session was off the chain. I had 5 different charts, maybe a few more on top of that. I was looking at SUI, XMR, privacy, looking at Bitcoin in general, the flows coming in. I think the positivity is back and I think the energy is back. Bitcoin still has to prove itself above 100K. But overall, I'm seeing institutional demand pick up, really positive news hitting the tape too. Altcoins look pretty buoyant. If you want to watch the full version of that session where I cover all those topics and more charts, make sure to look at my newsletter, subscribe by clicking the link below. Otherwise, let's crack straight in. Okie dokie, Bitcoin Cash, have been watching it for a few weeks now. It's been very, very strong. In the same bracket as privacy coins, it's been doing its thing quite nicely, coming into just a core overhead resistance level. This is a one tap, second tap, third tap. We also have this high over here in April 24. Something's going on behind the scenes where Bcash is being accumulated. So it just looks like a really nice position to be in. But that said, I'm focused on all my charts on the weekly time frame. Q4 was really disappointing, so we have to be very careful about jumping back into altcoins and trades, especially on these higher time frames without confirmation. So this is the first level. If we clear this overhead resistance, see this wick, we get a weekly close. So this red candle here, and I'll just delete some of this noise. We get this red candle closing above the horizontal that I've got here. And you can massage this however you like. But if we get a weekly close above this area, let's say 650, anything 640, 650 in that region, then I think Bitcoin Cash is breaking out. It's likely going to challenge its old high at 707. After that, it's kind of clear skies until the old all-time high. Not much will contain it, but the Fibonacci extensions are telling me that it could get to, at least 1,000, maybe go a little bit higher. So I'm waiting for that confirmation on the weekly. And why we do that? Well, this could be just a double top here where it's going to come down and do that thing. But so far, this is looking very, very strong, very similar to Monero, XMR. You can go look at the chart, see what I'm talking about. Over a 10-year time span, it's hitting the same area again. So a lot of these charts that look like this, they've got some kind of buying power. You can see every time Bcash has a bit of a dip, it's just bought up. Bigger dip, bought straight back up. So it's kind of wanting to release a lot of energy, and sellers I think are reasonably exhausted across multiple charts. But it has to confirm. So 2 levels here, I get very, very interested in. Moving averages all look really positive. This crossover here is really nice with the 10 and the 20 on the weekly. Entry levels could be here, but I just think we want to be waiting, and any close beneath the horizontal here is where you manage risk at 629, that type of region. So Bcash looks really positive, but wait for these core levels to get flipped before you make any action moves at all. I'm not really going to drift down towards the daily or anything just yet, particularly when Bitcoin hasn't cleared 100K. When it does, I think we can then look at more aggressive movements on cryptos, but right now, not so much. Solana, one to watch today, and it has a really strong fundamental catalyst that's just been dropped this morning. That's Morgan Stanley launching a spot Solana ETF. That's huge. There are very few ETFs out there with the Morgan Stanley name on it. So that is a really strong tick of institutional adoption. It signals flows, it signals intent. It signals that all these institutions couldn't give a shit about 2025 being a down year for a lot of these cryptos. They were building, they're gearing up, and 2026 should be a lot better. Same with Bitcoin. Again, I could digress about that. But we have a look at Solana here. Got that fundamental catalyst, but also what are we seeing on the technicals? Well, really obvious downtrend since September 25. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower, 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 lower high. And it almost, well, it lost this core support level, which a lot of people risked off underneath that. No, it was my danger zone here. I saw that close there, thought it was going lower. It did. Couldn't go down to 100, which would have been lovely if you're a dip buyer. It's ground its way back out, and it's broken that downtrend. So this is a really nice pop back up. Solana has to prove itself here though. I think it probably does come back into this region here to grab some liquidity. Ultimately, what I'm looking for is Solana, where that wick went into. I want to see not only a downtrend break, which it's doing through here, but I want to see a downtrend break, first step, horizontal flip, next step. Then when it does that, you're seeing a really strong trend shift. So anything above 146, 150, I think is really sensible and positive. Or you can be super patient, wait for these higher levels to get reclaimed, specifically the 200-day moving average. That's really, really important. If I use my own talking point from the last video I did, Bitcoin Cash is waiting for weekly validation. So right here on the weekly, this looks really good. It's reclaimed that level, that yellow level, which I was watching there, which was the support, then flip resistance. Now it's reclaimed it. just get rid of some of these squiggles to be a bit more clear. Ultimately on the weekly, it's clearer. You get a close above that 10 EMA at 143, 146. Then I think Solana's going higher. It's probably going back to 163. Above that is when it gets a bit choppy, when we need to claim that pretty aggressively. Again, these cryptos have been so smashed that the shorts through here, there's going to be a lot of leverage that's been added to the mix. So any closes through these regions, we could see this acceleration quite quickly through areas you wouldn't expect, and it can pop back up to levels that we haven't seen for quite a while and be quite bullish again. The side to that is if we lose 129, that type of area, then it's probably likely we're coming back down to test these lows. So we just have to be a little bit careful. That's why it's a one to watch. But I think potential buy opportunities. Let's scoot back down to the daily. I think where I had my circles down here, you can see it's already trying to top out a little bit, and it's going to come back down to these 10 EMAs, which is just snaking up 133, that type of region. So this should be like a little box in here where you just have mentally say to yourself, right, the 10 EMAs in there, but I'm keen to buy anything in this type of region, to this liquidity cluster, into this yellow zone. That is if you are open for a trade. You've got your biases up and to the right. Absolutely. So that's SOL. So value, I think, is down 135, low 130s for that move to that next level, 160, 170. Okay, it's a danger zone, but not really. It can flip very, very quickly. And this is very similar to the SUI chart, which I go into the premium session. If I'm looking at this objectively, I'm saying, kind of a nice W formation settling here, where a break above the top right, so the horizontal resistance here could signal a much larger markup on ETH. So that's still in the back of my mind. But in the short term, we're running into a super clear heavy resistance level. So this in the short term should be a bit of a danger zone for a drop back into this region around the 10 EMA on the daily, let's say 3,200 down to 3,100. Which is a fairly decent range for Ethereum, but down here into these volume clusters of volume and also moving averages, that's where I'd be looking to buy. Also, the RSI could well come back down to the 50, but that's a really good point to get interested in. So short-term danger zone, but mid-term, I think this is going higher. So that's kind of the caveat with this chart. And if we go up to the weekly as well, it gives us so much more clarity. So let's just go there and see what it says. Yeah, super, super clear. The breakout level is just above 335, let's say. Weekly close above that is really solid. We're actually already grappling with the 10 EMA on the weekly. So right here, I'd expect us to get sold into this a little bit more. So on the daily, that would push us back to the regions we were just talking about. But ultimately, the weekly close next week, I think if we can close above this 10 EMA, we might get follow through with 3 green candles through this region, maybe a pullback, then higher. So staircase up, elevator down. It's going to take some time, but the reversals on this stuff can be very quick if the flows come back in. So we're going to be monitoring the inflows, not only the Bitcoin ETF inflows, but also the Ethereum inflows, because everything in this market now is predicated on institutional flows. All right, guys, hope you have a wonderful day. As always, if you want to see the full version of these sessions, make sure to come and use those subscriber. See you again soon. Ta, bye.